Hi traders, welcome to Admiral Markets. My name is Chris. Today's focus is on decision zones, how to trade break and bounces when the price gets into an interesting zone. So we'll be taking a look at how do we define a decision zone and how do we look for reactions in that area. Before we do that though, be aware of these two disclaimers. The first one explains the fact that the webinar is shown to a global audience but may not be suitable for everyone. Please visit admiralmarketsglobal.com. Select your country of residence and contact an appropriate entity for more details on that. Also, please note that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. All right, just in case you're joining this webinar for the first time, take a look at admiralmarkets.com later on. This is basically the hub that you can use for reaching out to the trading world with analytics, education, but also, of course, with regard to how to trade, a demo or real, what kind of instruments are tradable. As you can see, a whole list of those things, not only euro dollar, but CFDs and commodities as well, and the stock indices, and of course platforms special plugin for MetaTrader 4 adds 60 extra features and more to your trading. We'll take a look at some of those as we analyze the markets right now. And as I grab the MT4 chart, you will see a few of those. These Admiral Market pivot points, for instance, weekly pivot points here. I made them weekly, but you can use them for daily chart too. The Keltner channel and the mini terminal are just a few that I use personally. That depends. Some of them you'll like, some of them not, but there are 60 out there that you can test and choose. All right, so a couple of cool features right here in front of you. With regard to the market and what I'm expecting is basically with regard to euro dollar at this moment, we're seeing a break of this kind of correction here on the 4-hour chart like this. And that break is now in full swing. It happened on, or it started on Friday after we spiked up to the fibs that we had on this chart. Didn't break, turned, then had a good 4-hour breakout, and now it's seeing follow through. So one of the decision zones was definitely the 38.2 fib. Sorry, this 23.6 fib. When you zoom out to the chart, you can see that this fib held, and that's where price, stopped and bounced. So it's a decision zone because if price breaks above resistance, there's a good chance it will be a breakout to the upside based on the 23.6 fib bounce. But if it breaks below it, which it did, then there could be a breakout pullback continuation down to the 38.2 fib. So a level like that, 117, was very important. And we got the latter. So how do we know that? Is primarily because of price action. We got a solid bearish candle that broke through the support. We also had a failure to break through this resistance, although it didn't, it was a triangle to be fair to the bulls. I was actually bullish myself and looking for a bullish break. But what I did need to see was a bullish breakout. I was bullish here at support for a move up to resistance. But here I said you got to be careful because it either will break or bounce again. And it bounced and in fact broke this support trend line. Then we got a week of sideways move, but eventually the continuation did happen. The pullback completed as expected, put a fib from here to here, and indeed the 50 fib holding it. And then we got a new breakout. So you can see that 23.6 fib was the major decision zone. But then as you go into lower time frames, you get mini decision zones, right? This is 50, 61.8 fib zone, resistance zone, was definitely a decision zone that was very important last week. This triangle and the break of the triangle was very important, plus the break of the 23.6 fib or the bounce was very important 2 weeks ago. This week, we had a breakout candle, right? So we're breaking the correction, this channel, this bearish channel. So we had a bearish bounce last week, and a bearish breakout. this week was about the continuation of that bearish breakout. Would it be able to continue? I did trade it myself on Monday open right away. I'm not a big fan of trading on Mondays, but this to me looked good. Was very choppy Monday, but today finally got a break and continuation. So, one of the decision zones maybe today would have been the support line. It's, as you see, we're zooming into time frames. That's because of the fact that we already broke the bigger decision zone on a higher time frame. As soon as price will get close to the 115 area, then we can zoom out again back to the daily chart, because that's when the real interesting stuff happens again. 115. This is also interesting, but it's all part of a continuation of this breakout, most likely from 117 to at least, I think, 115. At the moment, it hasn't reached 115. We know for sure, without any doubt, that it has reached 115.54. So let's say 115.50 to make it easy, right? So very close, but not yet there. That is also one of the reasons why I think that this pullback might see a continuation later this week, maybe even later today. It's difficult because, this fall on the euro dollar is already quite a decent fall, and it already fell some almost 60 pips. So the euro dollar does not move maybe that much, so 60 pips is already a decent fall, specifically also considering this kind of slow, choppy range at this moment. A good thing, if you're interested in checking out the volatility of a chart, a good tip is to take a look at analytics, then click on market heat map, and then scroll down. All right, and you can see here the currency pairs that have moved a lot in direction and in volatility. 1 to -1% is the direction, and the sideways bar is volatility. So this is just Euro New Zealand was very volatile, as you can see, the most volatile. And lower, you see also the currency ranges. So Euro, not bad actually. It's actually the range about 70, 60 pips. So you see, the fall of 60 pips at this moment, quite a lot. So that fall towards 150 might not happen today, but could be tomorrow. So it depends what type of trader you are. If you are more of an intraday trader, it probably would have been. It makes sense to either close it now or move the trail stop loss. It all depends how you trade it. If you traded this break right here, then it would be definitely good to grab some profit in this consolidation. Right? No need to hang in. I traded it on the hourly chart, and I am hanging in here. I have the stop loss just above these tops. Might move it to break even. It's only a few pips difference anyhow. I'm just waiting for a bear flag to occur and a continuation break. And if it doesn't make a flag, but it flies up, then I'm willing to risk and willing to miss this profit, because I don't think that this is the main bouncing spot as yet. So I trust my analysis, and I would be willing to take that risk that I don't lock in this profit that I have. It's not that much either, by the way, but it's a little bit at least. It was 60 pips down in here. Now it's maybe 40 still. And I'm still hanging in this trade. But it depends on the time frames too. On a 50-minute chart, this zone is an interesting decision range, right? Break up or break down, very important. Break down, and you got a good trade. But from a 50-minute point of view, with such a move, you shouldn't expect much more from the euro dollar on a 50-minute world when looking at the heat map too. So heat map, very useful. All right, so definitely take a look at that. So for today, I think that, as I said, there could be a continuation still today. It's possible. I was looking for a move back to the 50 fib. So it looks like we just had a retracement to 115.80. 115.80, 115.90 I thought was the very max, and it just hit 115.80 right there. So let's see how it responds. If you took that trade at 115.80, 50 fib, remember, it's always good if you have strong momentum and you get a pullback to the 50 fib like this. Typically a good bouncing spot. Just a general rule for the future if you see good momentum. All right, something that is definitely a trick that is worth remembering. Then you could almost move it to break even right away and see if it just keeps on breaking. Because if it gets into a bigger bear flag like this, you don't want to stick in, I think. Well, you could, but then I would zoom out to the 1 hour chart. On an hourly chart, we need a lot more candles before this is a bear flag. Would make sense to just exit the 50-minute and re-enter on the hourly chart. So let's see if the euro dollar continues the next couple of hours. What I definitely would not do is enter on a breakout here because price is too close to the target in my view. And as I said, it might make a bigger correction throughout the Asian session. Really, the only setup that made sense to the downside is that pullback at the 50 fib. Otherwise, not. Otherwise, better to wait for a 1 hour bear flag and just wait for this flag. Or if it doesn't make a flag and it does fly down in one shot, see tomorrow, for instance, if there's some bullish candle tomorrow at 115 support, that it could indicate the bigger bounce at the 38.2 fib that we talked about right here, right? That is something that swing traders might be interested in. The 115 support level, 114.80. Bullish engulfing twins there. Long-term traders might like that setup. Could indicate an upside trend potential there on the euro dollar. All right, it's already moving up quickly, so let's see. I don't know. That's why I think it's one of the reasons why it's good to move to break even because, as I said, today's range has been tested a lot, and there is a good chance this could just turn into a bear flag. All right, let's take a look at something else. Pound dollar, continuing nicely here to the downside. Something that I liked based on this breakout candle. There we go. And is moving lower as we speak. So maybe the targeting 130.75, for instance, could be good if you took this breakout right here. Break below the weekly pivot point. All right, so this too could be moved to break even. No, not yet. The stop loss could be moved to right above this top, I think. Very close to break even. All right, dollar yen is very close to challenging this rising wedge. It is in a rising wedge. It is a strong 115 resistance zone. So from this point of view, it could be in serious trouble. What I'll be looking for is probably a break below this daily candle and weekly pivot point. If it breaks below that, we should see a bigger correction occur to the 23.6 fib, then a bear flag and a continuation down to the 38, at least, if not deeper. For the moment, price is bouncing up. So either a break below this candle low, or if price breaks below maybe this 4 hour candle right here. For the moment, bullish candles. So I don't see any particular weakness. I see it on the daily chart. The 4 hour chart definitely doesn't look like that at the moment. So got to be careful with this dollar yen. I am on the sidelines until price either breaks below support or if today's candle, or today or any candle this week on the daily chart is able to really clearly break through this resistance, then I would consider, the upside. All right, Aussie is continuing. I'm in this Aussie downside myself from this candle here. just like the euro dollar already in this trade, and the pound. Um, but the pound is an hourly chart, very close to break even. The Aussie risk is still up in here. Euro dollar is also very close to break even, in fact. So Aussie is the only one that's still kind of fully open. And the reason why I like this Aussie today was because it made a correction like this, ABC correction, good momentum. This seems like to me a hook back and continuation. So from my point of view, it seemed like it broke, pull back, continue. Let me get rid of some of these trend lines here. All right, a bit of a bounce at the 20, the minus 27 target, but ultimately, I think the minus 61.8 target is definitely, something that could be envisioned, and that's at 75. So I think that this continuation towards 75 looks good to me. There was a small little bull flags here. Sorry, bear flags. I always mixed them up. So if you're looking for continuations on a 50-minute chart, that could have been right here. Alrighty. Kiwi. Also bearish, but has an interest rate soon. So I would be careful with the Kiwi. That's tomorrow. Dollar CAD is bullish. In fact, at this moment, was expecting a little bit more downside towards maybe this bottom. It didn't get that, and is breaking this resistance right now, and also this resistance. So yes, looking bullish at the moment, with particularly this 4-hour candle. And I don't see any trade right now, right here, to be honest. It was maybe a setup on this candle, stop loss below this bottom here. Now I think we'd have to wait for some new flag, new 50-minute flag or hourly flag, probably hourly flag like this, and continuation. Here again, testing this bottom again. Pound yen bearish engulfing twins here. And this is a slow kind of rising wedge little pattern here. You see that? On the pound yen. Slight rising wedge. Did break already to the downside. Bearish engulfing twins on the 4-hour chart. Price stopped at the 78.6 fib here. And might do that again. So if it breaks, this break could take it all the way back to the 7 or down to the 78.6 fib at 148. It's definitely a bit rangy and choppy at this moment. I would probably not trade it unless I see a better pattern, like a triangle, and the break of that triangle to the downside. Alrighty. Let's see. Well, just keep in mind that this has the interest rate tomorrow, one day from now. Just trying to see. We are getting a bit bigger correction at this moment. 61.8 fib bounce. Bit tricky. We had a little bit of a falling wedge here, but ultimately broke that falling wedge to the downside. To me, it still seems like it's going up to resistance. So, a bearish candlestick pattern here, I think, could be interesting for more downside. But it does have the New Zealand interest rate decision in it, so that's a bit tricky. Let's take a look at some other pairs. Gold, gold still very, very rangy, taking very long. Euro yen is a good downtrend, but it is still at that support level and is bouncing at that support level. I do think, though, it's remaining bearish because of the fact that your dollar is bearish, had a bounce at the 50 fib, should continue tomorrow. It really also depends on this dollar yen. I think it's going to go up all the way to the R1, the dollar yen. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some double top or maybe a little bit of a break one more time to further amplify this rising wedge. That's why rising wedges are so difficult. I'm personally not expecting a break above 115. But you never know, of course. But I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 114.75, hits this top of the rising wedge, or makes a double top. So there's some upside on this dollar yen, which means that if the euro dollar goes sideways and the dollar yen goes up, that the euro yen might make some upside too. Ultimately, though, if the dollar yen turns and the euro dollar continues towards 115, I would still expect that price on this euro yen should be able to make some more downside to, for instance, 130.60, 129.60, right? These fib targets. Right now it's in a range, so it is a bit difficult spot right here. We got good bearish candlestick patterns. I mean, to me it looks like an ABC. The better trade was up in here though, when it was a bit further away from the support. So I wouldn't trade it now. But if you're in that trade, and you took it from the 50 fib, like I was doing, or a bit lower actually here, then it's okay to move it to break even. And if it spikes all the way up there, then it's unlucky. Maybe it makes a little bit of upside, but hopefully it just still continues like this. Then if it does that, if it does like this, the stop loss could be moved towards this top. I think that some of these yens, if the yen weakness does start, now it's weakening. I mean, if the yen strength starts, then odd yen looks also good to me. It's actually already starting. Yeah, sorry, it already broke out, in fact. Forgot, sorry about that. This candle right here. So that was a breakout. You can see it visually too with this trend line like this. And that looks good to me because the odd looks weak at this moment. So that was also a good breakout there. A bit too late for that now, maybe, but it could still retrace next 4-hour candle. I think stop loss, I would go with the stop loss above these fractals and aim for Aim for minus 272 target at 86.40. Wow, CAD really weakening. Aussie moving quickly too. Alrighty, folks, that is about it. So, from my side at least, any other questions that you have about today's market? You can take maybe a look at some of these lower time frames. Any questions though? No questions? Nothing. Okay, that's good. So hopefully all is clear. Basically, as I said, you want to take a look at decision zones. You want to wait for basically price to react to those decision zones, so you get more info and you can then respond flexibly towards those bounce or breaks, and then zoom into lower time frames and then try to trade that follow through. Right, as the euro dollar, right? Euro dollar had a break, decision zone break, 4-hour chart, bounce, then break, then hourly chart, one more break, all basically based on the fact that on the daily chart we're breaking the 23.6 fib and there should be space to the 38.2 fib. Dollar Swissy, that's a good one. I haven't looked at the Swissy that much, to be honest, but let's take a look. There we go. Strong bullish candle last month. Weekly chart also in a good uptrend at this moment. Looks like good momentum to the upside here, followed by a very long range. Still looks bullish to me, just like the dollar index itself. Let me see how many moving averages have been crossed. 1 second. All right. Would seem like I think a breakout could occur to the upside. Pretty good correction here. Looks like a ABCDE triangle. In the sense that this is A, B, C, D, E. It's not something I trade myself, but if it does break above this resistance trend line here, like this, could be a breakout to the upside if it has also a good um, close, maybe above this resistance trend line. All right, so Swiss is actually one of the, indeed a good currency. One of the ones we didn't look at, but there are also other things you can analyze, of course, like oil. Oil seems to be running into, I do think, a turning spot potentially here. Got resistance on the left still, and also a fib, minus 272 fib. So this could be completing a correction. I would be interested to see if there is a bearish reaction to that, to that fib. Otherwise, of course, you can take a look at Nasdaq, for instance. Quite astonishing how specifically Nasdaq has grown. I mean, if you consider that in 2009 it was just at 1,000, at 1,000. Was it below 1,000? No, but still, just a little bit above 1,000, and now it's all the way at 6,000, above 6,000 for a 8-year period, 8.5-year period. That is quite a spectacular, move up there. Here you can see a little bit of a top at 2,700. Yeah, that's quite a spectacular upside, even since mid last year when it was 4,000, now above 6,000. And yeah, those IT companies, here you can see Google were moving up very strongly. All the way down here at 700. We didn't know now. There's a bit of a wick here, plus some indecision candles. I don't know if it will, but if it makes a retracement, wouldn't be too bad. That's just one of the CFDs. Let's take a look at gold as well and silver. Silver in a triangle, still nothing happened there. Yeah, Dow Jones, same story as the Nasdaq, all the way down here at I think 6,000 or something like that, and now at close to 24,000. This has been pushing up ever since, keeps pushing up since the beginning last year. DAX 2, quite impressive, isn't it? Let's see. S&P 500, same story. All right. A little bit of a deeper look at gold. I do think that with these bearish engulfing twins at support right here, that price will make an upside somewhere towards this fib. 38.50, 61.8 fibs. So a bounce here up to these fibs and then a turn back down, I think still the most likely candidate for gold XAU USD. New Zealand, by the way, has divergence between the daily tops, between these tops. So, and from my point of view, is trying to break through this bull flag. In fact, it looks like a bull flag, but with the divergence on the daily chart, it's questionable whether it's a bull flag or just a channel to the downside. In fact. There we go. And while this might still push up towards this resistance, but all in all, I think it's could be in a bigger correction to the downside, considering that daily divergence. And one of the targets that it could go down to is, for instance, this trend line at around 110. All right, if pound dollar makes a wick like that, that does not look good for the for the downside. 23 minutes left. That would be, definitely a place to think about. Maybe even moving it just to break even. Anyone who took the breakout. Dollar seems to be weakening just slightly at this moment, and your dollar is moving up quickly, and also a little bit the pound dollar. And you can see that the euro New Zealand pound New Zealand crosses are moving up. I don't like those particular crosses at this moment. To me, euro New Zealand is moving up to resistance, I think, but these upsides don't look that interesting. They're quite choppy and corrective. It doesn't seem that appealing to me. There was maybe a little bit of a breakout on the pound New Zealand, but I just don't like these particular currency pairs at this moment, personally. Except the euro New Zealand, which I saw as slightly bearish due to this break, and this could be a pullback. But with the New Zealand, that is still a bit of a question mark. That probably is it. So, decision zones on lower time frames don't have to be that complicated. For instance, on the pound dollar, if you think that there is space for a particular currency, then sometimes, of course, you have to do a little bit your homework and see. I didn't trade this one myself, just to give you an example of a 50-minute triangle here, like this. I did see it. I skipped it because of a counter trend on Monday, but just to give you an idea, right? Sometimes like this could be already a decision zone, a triangle like this, for instance. Or let me think. This flag here, right? So sometimes it doesn't have to be too complicated. Trend lines or patterns, basically within the market structure, sometimes offer very interesting spots that are valid, or not valid, but provide some potential trades that are very interesting, right? Just simply looking at impulse and then pattern correction and a break of that, for instance. Doesn't have to be too complicated sometimes. At this moment, when zooming into these lower time frames, I don't see anything at this point. These Aussie flags were good. The 50-minute bounce was good, but it's already. You see, this is why it's important to move to break even, because you never know. As I said, there's a good chance that there could be a bear flag, and that this downside was all of the downside for today on the euro dollar, and then it makes some consolidation and probably will continue tomorrow. I mean, that's the odds are pretty good still, I think, but you never know. That's the risk that I took with this euro dollar short. You never know, but I think it's worth it. Okay, so if you have any questions, let us know. In the meantime, once again, heat map very good for taking a look at what you can expect, how many pips movement can you expect on average from a currency, which pairs are moving quickly in volatility and in direction, and much more, as you can see just in this heat map tool, which is part of analytics, market heat map. Much more available up in here with analysis, and other tools still, and articles here and here. Courses at the bottom here, Zero to Hero, Forex 101, Masters of Trading, more webinars here. And of course, as mentioned before, MetaTrader 4, MetaTrader Supreme Edition. Euro dollar, DAX, oil, gold, CFDs, etc. That's all of it is there. We'll be back tomorrow. By the way, you can take a look at this, and then it is going to be back too with his session recap. No, sorry, it's trading session with Ned tomorrow. And I'm going to be taking a look at strategy and finding trading setups with high probability. So that wraps it up, I guess, for today. Today, not particular setups right here, right now, but if you are in the Aussie downside, Euro dollar downside, I think that with me, I think the Aussie, could be moved to this stop loss right now. It's breaking, so that risk can be reduced as well, in my view. Euro New Zealand, it depends. If this candle is bullish like this, then I might exit that, or I would, definitely if it breaks above this 21 EMA, I'm out of this downside trade. If there's a big wick at the end of this 4-hour chart, then that would be good for the downside. It really depends on how price action responds to this 21 EMA. All right, so just a couple of trade management thoughts from my point of view for these ideas that I have at least had this week. And we'll be back tomorrow, as I said, with strategy. I wish you good trading above all, and see you soon. Cheers.